Scrolling did not suddenly become an escape from reality. Instead, it evolved into one in a quiet and almost invisible way, shaped by small decisions we repeated so often that they stopped feeling like decisions at all. At first, it was simply a way to fill empty moments, such as a few minutes between tasks or a brief distraction before sleep. It felt harmless because it seemed temporary. However, over time, those moments stretched, merged, and eventually formed a space we returned to not just out of boredom, but out of need. Without fully realizing it, we began to rely on scrolling not as a break from life, but as a way to avoid it. What makes scrolling such an effective escape is not only the content itself, but also the structure behind it. It is endless, effortless, and immediate. There is no clear stopping point, and there is no natural conclusion that signals closure. Unlike a book, a conversation, or even a film, scrolling does not require commitment. It asks nothing from us except attention, and even that attention can remain shallow and fragmented. As a result, it creates a unique psychological environment where we can stay engaged without being challenged and occupied without being deeply involved. In a world where many responsibilities feel demanding and uncertain, this kind of experience becomes extremely appealing. At a deeper level, scrolling offers something more subtle, which is emotional regulation without direct confrontation. When we feel anxious, overwhelmed, or uncertain, turning to our phones provides an instant shift in focus. The discomfort does not disappear, but it becomes less visible and less immediate. We replace internal tension with external stimulation. Instead of sitting with difficult thoughts, we interrupt them. Instead of asking hard questions, we delay them. Over time, this pattern becomes automatic. The moment discomfort appears, our instinct is no longer to understand it, but to escape it. However, this form of escape comes with a cost that is not always immediately obvious. Because scrolling does not solve the underlying problem, the original discomfort remains unresolved. In fact, it often returns stronger, reinforced by the awareness that we have been avoiding it. This creates a subtle cycle. We feel uncomfortable, then we scroll to escape, and later the discomfort returns, which leads us to scroll again. The more we rely on this pattern, the less capable we become of facing reality directly. What once felt like relief slowly turns into dependence. Another important consequence is the way scrolling reshapes our perception of time and productivity. Hours spent online rarely feel as meaningful as hours spent working, studying, or building something valuable. Because of this, we tend to underestimate how much time we actually lose. At the end of the day, we may feel mentally exhausted, yet strangely unfulfilled. This happens because passive consumption does not provide the same sense of progress as active engagement. In other words, we have been busy but not productive and stimulated but not satisfied. At the same time, the content we consume begins to influence how we evaluate our own lives. Social media platforms are built on selective representation, where people share highlights, achievements, and carefully constructed versions of themselves. When we are exposed to this constantly, it becomes difficult to maintain a realistic perspective. We start comparing our full, unedited lives to someone else's curated moments. This comparison is inherently unfair, yet emotionally convincing. As a result, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy, even when our own lives are stable or meaningful. What makes this dynamic even more complex is the fact that scrolling both creates and temporarily relieves these negative emotions. We may feel inadequate after comparing ourselves to others, but instead of stepping away, we continue scrolling in search of distraction. By doing so, we expose ourselves to even more content that reinforces the same feeling. This is how scrolling transforms from a simple habit into a self-reinforcing loop, one that is difficult to break because it continuously feeds the very emotions it claims to reduce. There is also a cognitive dimension that should not be ignored. Constant exposure to fast-paced and highly stimulating content trains our brains to expect immediate rewards. As a result, our attention becomes shorter, our patience weaker, and our tolerance for slower and more demanding activities decreases. Tasks that require sustained focus, such as reading, learning, or deep thinking, begin to feel unusually difficult. This does not mean we are incapable, but rather that our mental habits have adapted to a different rhythm. Consequently, reality feels slower and less engaging, which further increases our desire to escape into digital spaces. Despite all of this, it would be overly simplistic to describe scrolling as purely negative. The issue is not the tool itself, but the role it plays in our emotional and cognitive lives. Scrolling can inform, entertain, and even inspire. The problem arises when it becomes our primary response to discomfort and our default way of coping with reality. At that point, it stops being a conscious choice and starts functioning more like an automatic reaction. Becoming aware of this shift is a crucial first step, but awareness alone is not enough. We also need to develop alternative ways of responding to the feelings that usually trigger the urge to scroll. This requires a certain level of discomfort, because facing reality directly is rarely as easy as escaping it. It may involve sitting with uncertainty, addressing unresolved problems, or simply allowing ourselves to feel bored without immediately trying to eliminate that boredom. These experiences are not always pleasant, but they are necessary for building emotional resilience. In addition, creating intentional boundaries around our digital behavior can help restore a sense of control. This does not mean completely removing social media from our lives. Instead, it means redefining our relationship with it. For example, we can choose specific times or clear purposes for using it. By doing so, we shift from passive consumption to conscious use. This small change can significantly alter how we experience both the digital world and our own reality. Equally important is the effort to reconnect with experiences that require presence. Real conversations, physical activities, creative work, or even quiet reflection all demand a level of attention that scrolling does not. At first, they may feel less stimulating, but over time, they provide something that scrolling cannot offer, which is depth. These experiences allow us to engage fully, to process our thoughts, and to build a more stable sense of satisfaction. Ultimately, the idea that scrolling became an escape from reality reflects a deeper truth about human behavior. We are naturally drawn to what is easy, immediate, and comforting, especially when reality feels uncertain or demanding. The real danger does not lie in seeking relief, but in choosing a form of relief that disconnects us from the very experiences we need in order to grow. If we continue to treat scrolling as our primary escape, we risk becoming passive observers of our own lives. We end up watching instead of participating and consuming instead of creating. However, If we learn to recognize when we are using it to avoid reality, we gain the opportunity to make a different choice. That choice may be more difficult, but it is also more meaningful. Because in the end, reality is not something we are meant to escape from. It is something we are meant to engage with, even when it feels uncomfortable, and even when it challenges us. The more willing we are to face it directly, the less we will feel the need to hide from it in the first place.